There are pains that cannot be seen, but they weigh more than any mountain. Pains no one understands because they don't leave scars on the skin. They leave scars on the soul. Depression, trauma, emotional exhaustion, silent battles we fight alone far too often. Psychologically, depression is not sadness, it's disconnection. It's feeling like your body moves forward, but your heart stayed behind. It's waking up with no strength to begin the day. It's breathing, yet somehow feeling short of air. It's wanting to be strong and failing. And spiritually, depression is that dark valley where God seems silent but is actually closer than ever. It is written in Psalm 34:18, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Maybe today you are there, in that place where your mind is tired, your soul is drained, and your heart quietly whispers, "God, are you still with me?" The answer is yes. I lived in that darkness for years. I remember a day I could barely get out of bed. The pain was physical, and the absence of hope was total. I felt invisible, as if I was screaming underwater and no one could hear me. I'd tried everything: therapy, medication, changes in routine, but the dark cloud persisted. That's when I heard the same promise you hear now. I remember doubting it, but I decided to give faith a chance, one last chance. I started small, 1 verse a day, 1 minute of prayer, 1 step out of the house. The change was not immediate. It was a process, slow and painful. But every day, faith was the cement that held my pieces together. Today, I still have hard days, but I am no longer a prisoner of that mountain of pain. My soul is healed. If I could do it, you can too. There is power in the promise that He is close to the brokenhearted. Trust in that. Because the God who created you is also the God who restores you. The God who gathers your broken pieces and forms something new out of them. This video is for you, for your pain, for your weary soul, for your heart that no longer knows what to feel. Today, we will speak about depression, trauma, psychology, but also about the God who makes the impossible possible. Prepare yourself, because sometimes one truth spoken at the right moment can begin to heal an entire life. There are wounds that don't bleed, but they shape everything about us. People say trauma is an event, but in reality, trauma is a mark, a memory that stays trapped in the body long after the mind tries to forget. Trauma isn't just remembering what happened. It's feeling like part of you stayed frozen in that moment. It's a heaviness you can't explain, a fear that appears without warning, a tension in the chest that doesn't go away. Psychology explains that trauma changes the way the brain interprets the world. The limbic system stays on high alert, as if danger could return at any moment. Your heart beats faster, your breath shortens, your muscles tighten, and suddenly, living becomes less about enjoying life and more about surviving it. But there is something even deeper. Trauma doesn't only affect how you see the world, it affects how you see yourself. It convinces you that you're not enough, that you're hard to love, that you don't deserve good things, that your story is defined by what broke you. It pushes you to carry guilt that isn't yours, to hide pain you never asked for, to pretend strength you no longer have. And sometimes, even in faith, we hide. We pray but with fear. We worship but with a silent heart. We attend church, but feel emotionally absent, because inside there are wounds we don't know how to bring before God. But listen carefully, God never asked you to fix yourself before coming to Him. He never demanded perfection, never required emotional stability as a condition to receive His love. He doesn't flinch at your trauma nor step back when you cry. Instead, He comes closer. In Isaiah 41:10, God says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This promise is not poetry. It is for the exhausted, the broken, the silently hurting. Maybe you see yourself here. Maybe your trauma comes from a painful childhood, a relationship that destroyed your confidence, a betrayal, a loss, a moment that changed everything. Maybe you've said quietly, "I don't know how to continue." But God does. He knows the way back to peace. He understands your tears, even the ones you refuse to cry. He remembers your worth, even when you forget it. Psychology helps you understand what happened to you, but only God can heal what psychology cannot touch. The cracks in the soul, the memories that ache, the emptiness that no one sees. And this video exists to remind you, your story did not end at your wound. God didn't leave you where you were broken. Even when you can't feel Him, He is working, silently, deeply, faithfully. What hurts today will one day be restored. There are moments when depression doesn't show up as sadness, but as a dimming of the inner light. A quiet collapse, a heavy silence, a numbness that becomes unbearable. Many people think depression means crying every day, but sometimes depression doesn't make you cry. It makes you feel nothing. It's staring at the ceiling for hours without knowing what to think. It's losing interest in everything that once mattered. It's waking up exhausted even after sleeping. It's having 1,000 reasons to live, but feeling none of them. Psychologically, depression alters the brain's chemistry. Serotonin drops, dopamine disappears. The nervous system goes into shutdown mode. The body tries to conserve energy because the mind is emotionally drained. That's why everything feels heavy, why small tasks feel impossible, why life seems distant. But there is also a spiritual truth. Depression is not just a psychological battle. It's an emotional war between what you feel and what you believe. You know God can help, but you don't understand why He hasn't yet. You know He is near, but you can't feel Him. You know He speaks, but the silence seems endless. This internal conflict breaks a person from the inside out. The mind whispers, "I can't." The heart says, "I don't want to." And faith tries to whisper, "Keep going." But sometimes that whisper gets lost in the noise inside your own mind. In the spiritual realm, depression feels like walking through a dark valley. Not because God is absent, but because your soul is too tired to perceive His presence. It's as if life turned gray, and every color you once saw has faded. David felt this too. That's why he wrote in Psalm 42, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me?" He was a king, but he was also human. A man who knew victory, purpose, God's promises, and still faced deep emotional despair. Depression does not choose its victims. It reaches the strong, the intelligent, the sensitive, the spiritual. It reaches those who love God, those who pray, those who try to stay standing even when their hearts are breaking. Maybe this is you. Maybe your soul has been dim for months. Maybe you are doing everything right, yet nothing feels right. Maybe you've silently said, "I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of fighting alone." And hear this with your whole soul. God does not judge you for feeling this way. He doesn't demand a strength you don't have. He doesn't expect fake smiles. He doesn't walk away from your darkness. God does not wait for you to leave the valley to meet you. He walks into the valley to find you, even if you don't notice, even if your heart feels numb, even if your faith feels weak. There is a kind of love that only reveals itself in the darkest moments. And it is that love that is holding you now, even if you cannot feel it. Depression may blur your perception, but it cannot stop the presence of God. There comes a point in depression where it is no longer about sadness or emptiness, but pure exhaustion. A kind of tiredness that sleep doesn't fix, rest doesn't touch, and distraction cannot hide. It's a tiredness of the soul. There is a moment when a person stops fighting, not because they don't want to, but because they no longer know how to. Thoughts slow down, motivation disappears, and the heart loses the strength to keep pretending everything is okay. Many describe this moment as breaking on the inside, even while outwardly functioning. Psychology calls this emotional collapse. It's when the nervous system becomes so overloaded that it shuts down emotions, reduces energy, and limits responses. It is not laziness, it is not weakness, it is not a lack of faith. It is the body saying, "I can't carry any more." And at this point, loneliness becomes brutal because not everyone understands. Not every family member knows how to help. Not every friend knows what to say. So silently, the person begins to believe they are a burden, that they don't matter, that something is wrong with them. Painful thoughts, unfair but real to the one who feels them. Trauma makes the wound repeat in the mind. Depression makes the wound feel permanent. Emotional exhaustion makes life feel impossible. Yet this is the exact place, the exact moment where God begins to work in a way no one else can see. Psalm 147:3 says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." It doesn't say he heals the strong, he heals the stable. He heals the ones who have everything under control. No, it says brokenhearted, the ones who feel beyond repair, the ones who can't keep going, the ones who cry silently in the dark. Because God does not work with perfection, he works with pieces. He doesn't demand that you stand up first. He meets you on the floor. He picks up your soul from where it fell and begins to rebuild you slowly, delicately, faithfully. Hear this clearly. Your breaking point is not your ending point. Your pain is not a sign of God's absence. Your silence is not God's silence. Many times, when you no longer have the strength to hold yourself up, it is God who is holding you. When you see no way out, it is God who begins to open one. When you cannot take another step, it is God who starts restoring you from within. Even now, even if you don't feel anything, even if your heart is numb, even if your thoughts are heavy, God is working. Deeply, quietly, patiently. He doesn't always pull you out of the darkness instantly, because there are wounds that can only be healed in the depth of the soul. But even in the shadows, his light is already forming. Depression tried to convince you there is no future, but God is preparing a future stronger than the pain of your past. And this block exists so that even if just for a moment, your heart remembers, hope is still alive inside you. There is a moment in the journey of healing when the restoration of God begins. Not with thunder, not with miracles that shake the earth, but with whispers inside a tired soul. People think depression lifts suddenly, as if one morning the pain disappears. But most of the time, God begins his work in quiet ways. He starts with a small shift inside you, barely noticeable, but real. Psychology calls this a micro-recovery. Tiny movements of the mind and heart that show that life is returning little by little. It might look like waking up 5 minutes earlier, feeling one moment of clarity, thinking a gentler thought, crying without shame, breathing without pain for the first time in weeks. They seem small, but they are not small. They are God touching the heart from within. The Bible describes this process beautifully in the story of Elijah, a prophet strong enough to call fire from heaven, yet fragile enough to fall into deep despair. He isolated himself. He felt hopeless. He wanted to give up. And what did God do? He didn't shout. He didn't pressure him. He didn't scold him. God gave Elijah rest, then food, then silence, then a gentle whisper. Only after restoring him internally did God send him back to his purpose. This is how God works with you too. First he heals, then he strengthens, then he directs. Many people wait for restoration to be dramatic, but most of the time, restoration begins in the ordinary. A thought that hurts a little less, a day that feels slightly lighter, a tear that feels like release instead of defeat, a prayer you finally manage to say again. And hear this with your whole soul. To God, every small step you take is a victory. Every moment you choose to breathe, every moment you choose to stay, every moment you choose not to give up, he celebrates it. Depression tells you nothing is changing, but God is changing things where you cannot see. That is why many people say, I don't know how I came out of that dark season. I just know. I slowly started to feel again. And that slowly is God rebuilding you. It is written in Philippians 1:6, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. The good work doesn't begin when you are strong. It begins when you are broken. Psychology helps you understand the process, but God breathes life into that process. He takes your fragments and rebuilds them patiently, carefully, and powerfully. Maybe you still don't see the change. Maybe you still feel stuck. But every day, whether you notice or not, you are farther from the place where you once were. One day you will look back and say, I don't know how I came out, but God did. Because when God transforms pain, he doesn't just heal. He renews, he strengthens, he prepares you for what is coming. And what hurt today, tomorrow may become your testimony. There comes a moment in healing when pain stops being just pain and begins to reveal its lessons. A moment when you realize that even though you're not fully healed, you're no longer where you used to be. You are in the in-between, the sacred place where God works the deepest. Psychology calls this stage internal reconstruction. It's when your mind slowly reorganizes beliefs, untangles memories, and reassesses fears. It's not linear, it's not perfect, but it's real. You begin to notice that certain things no longer break you the way they used to. Some thoughts don't paralyze you anymore. Some wounds don't bleed when touched. You may not feel fine, but you are no longer completely lost. You are being transformed, and spiritually, this transformation is powerful. God doesn't want to simply remove your pain. He wants to give your pain a purpose. Not because He caused it, but because He knows how to turn what harmed you into what strengthens you. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." Not some things, not only the beautiful things. All things, even the ones that broke you, even the moments you regret, even the pieces of your story you wish never existed. When you allow Him to heal you, God takes your scars and turns them into doors. Doors of compassion, doors of understanding, doors of wisdom. What once was trauma can become testimony. What once was depression can become purpose. What once was darkness can become light for others still walking through it. Depression told you that you were alone, but healing reveals you were carried. Trauma told you your story was ruined, but healing reveals the plot was never over. Do you know what happens when God rebuilds someone? He does not return them to who they were before. He makes them new. New in strength, new in clarity, new in identity, new in purpose. Listen closely, your pain was not wasted. The nights you cried, the days you couldn't get up, the moments you felt numb, none of it was meaningless. If you are still here after everything, it is because there is something inside you God decided to protect. Psychology helps explain your wounds, but God turns those wounds into places where His power is revealed. Maybe you don't see it yet. Maybe you still feel fragile. Maybe your progress seems small, but even small progress is still progress. Every breath you take is evidence of survival. Every step forward is a quiet victory. And one day, you will look back and realize that the version of you standing in that moment is stronger, deeper, and wiser because of everything you survived. You won't say, "I healed myself." You'll say, "I don't know how, but God knew." Because when God transforms pain, He doesn't simply fix what broke. He strengthens what remains and prepares what's coming next. And the pain that once buried you may become the very soil where your purpose grows. There are moments in life when you don't even know what to say to God anymore. You don't know what prayer to pray, what verse to read, or what words could possibly express the weight you carry. You're so emotionally drained that even reaching for God feels overwhelming. But here is the most beautiful truth of all. When you no longer know how to seek God, God comes to seek you. When you don't have the strength to pray, He hears your sigh. When you can't find the words, He understands your silence. When you can't get up, He sits beside you. Because God does not meet you through your strength, He meets you through your fragility. Psychology explains that during intense emotional suffering, the brain enters a state of protection that reduces emotional capacity. That is not sin, it is not lack of faith. It is not spiritual weakness. It is the body trying to survive. But it is in that exact state, when the mind is exhausted and the heart is broken, that God approaches with a tenderness no human being could ever offer. Throughout Scripture, God reveals Himself as the one who heals, the one who restores, the one who lifts the fallen, the one who comforts the weary, the one who refuses to abandon the wounded. Isaiah 43:2 says, "When you pass through deep waters, I will be with you." It doesn't say if you pass, it says when. Because God knows that life is full of valleys, silent battles, and nights that feel endless. And yet, He promises to be there. This is the moment, right here, right now, when God begins to do what no one else ever could. He reaches into the hidden places of your soul, the ones you don't talk about, the memories you avoid, the fears you don't confess. He goes where therapists cannot go. He touches what words cannot heal. He restores what time alone could not restore. God steps into your past not to shame you, but to free you. Many imagine that God only begins his work once we are strong, stable, and ready. But his greatest work is done when we are weak, fragile, tired, and too exhausted to resist him anymore. This is when he whispers, "My child, you are not alone. I saw what broke you. I heard what you never said. I held you in every moment you thought I was absent. And I am here now, not to judge you, but to heal you." Something shifts inside you when you hear this, because for the first time in a long time, you feel seen. Not for your pain, but for your worth. Depression made you believe you don't matter. Trauma made you believe you're unlovable. Exhaustion made you believe there's no way out. But God comes today to remind you that there are paths you have not walked yet, battles you will not face alone, and chapters of your story still waiting to be written. Quietly, God begins returning you to yourself. He rebuilds your identity. He gives you back your voice. He brings light into thoughts once dark. He strengthens what was fragile. Because when God finds you, nothing remains the same. And this extra block exists to show you that even before you notice, God is already preparing your victory. If you've made it this far, listen with your whole soul. You are not your depression. You are not your trauma. You are not your failures. You are not your darkest moments. You are someone who survived storms that would have destroyed others. Someone who broke, yet still rises. Someone who cried quietly at night, yet wakes up again each morning. Someone who walked through darkness and still carries a heart capable of love. And that alone is a miracle. Psychology explains your process, but God reveals your purpose. Your wound was never the final chapter. It was the doorway to your restoration. Because God never allows pain without preparing healing, never allows loss without preparing redemption, never allows darkness without preparing dawn. Psalm 35 declares, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Maybe your night has been long, silent, heavy, and unbearable at times, but hear this clearly. Your morning is coming, even if your eyes can't see it yet. Depression whispered that you had no strength. Trauma whispered that you were ruined. Exhaustion whispered that you had no future. But today, God whispers louder than all of them. "I go before you. I restore you, I heal you. I'm making all things new." Your story does not end in your wound. It ends in the restoration God is already writing. So right now, I want to invite you to pause and breathe. Not to forget your pain, but to recognize that despite everything, you are still here. And if you are still here, it means God is not finished with you. This message didn't reach you by accident. These words didn't find you randomly. This light you feel inside your chest is God awakening something in you. It is Him saying, "I held you when you couldn't hold yourself. I stayed when you thought you were alone. I protected you when your mind was tired. I'm rebuilding you piece by piece." And if this message touched you, if something stirred inside you, if you felt even a small shift in your heart, hold on to it. Save this video. Return to it when your thoughts get dark. Share it with someone who needs it. And right below, as an act of faith, God is restoring my life. Because when you declare it, heaven responds. When you speak it, your soul receives it. And when your soul receives it, your story begins to change. This is not your ending. This is the beginning of the most beautiful chapter God is about to write in you. And never forget, what God restores, no darkness can destroy again.